What's going on? Jon Jones tests positive for drugs again. How about those apples? Or bananas or strawberries?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a new.
Bullshit, of course it's new. How does it not show up? I think what it is they're catching him towards the end of his cycle because I sent you the results for that test. He tested for 40 picograms, which is like throwing some salt in an Olympic-sized pool, and then a day later he tested for 20. And then I think the next day he probably didn't test for nothing. Why? Because that shit already got out of his system.
Or they're going to test him again, I think, after the fight, and then we'll see. But I think he's being tested by 3 or 4 different organizations. One of them being
Nevada State Commission.
Yeah, and then I think USADA, which does the Olympics, and then VADA. And only one of them is picking up the picograms.
Yeah, but I think it's the timing. I think that's kind of what the reason was, because if you looked at that date, it was like a few days apart from the other test, and I don't know how long that stuff stays in your system. I'm not, a scientist, but it can't be the same stuff that was there from before. It can't.
No, I don't think it can be that long. There's athletes who've roided up and then in the off season and they don't fail a drug test, but he's failing drug tests. He's not. I don't know if he's failing drug tests, but this stuff shows up in months and months and months after. It's been almost a year, I think.
Yeah, it can't be the same. I don't know. Okay, but why does a guy like that continue to roid? If he does, right? If he knows he's getting drug tested 3 times, he is a freak athlete. I mean, I don't know if roids is what makes him special.
His brothers are in the NFL.
I don't know if roids make him special, though. But why does he continue to do it? Why would he continue to do it if he has to take like 3-4 different drug tests?
I think if he does do it, it's probably just because I think it makes him gain a ridiculous amount of strength. Because I remember one of his trainer was saying that when he was suspended, he was gaining so much strength but he just didn't enjoy that amount of strength. I guess it took away from his speed and stuff. So maybe he's just doing it from an athletic standpoint, because there is benefits to it,
obviously,
from strength wise and I think recovery wise, but he doesn't need to. Yeah, I mean,
you're getting drug tested. Regardless if he's taking roids or not, at the end of the day, he's gonna have an asterisk by his name on some of the wins, because he tested positive for the Gustafsson fight, and they had to move that fight last minute to Vegas, to LA, and move it out of Vegas, and now he tested positive again against DC. So all those wins are gonna have an asterisk in front of it.
And I think against DC it was twice.
Yep.
The first time it was canceled. The second time it was after the fight.
Yeah.
But I think also it's interesting how he wasn't suspended for a long period of time. So I don't know.
Well, he snitched.
Yeah, I don't know if he snitched on somebody.
He snitched.
But Chad Mendes, Frank Mir, these guys were suspended for a long period of time. Chad Mendes was like 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And Jon Jones just got a couple months. From the very beginning, it's weird. So it just continues to getting weird.
But the other thing, too, on top of that, USADA is the people that got Neil Armstrong, or what was the guy's name that used to ride the bike? Yeah, Neil Armstrong, right? Or no, Neil Armstrong is the you could laugh, man. I don't remember.
Lance Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong is the guy that went on the moon, right?
Allegedly.
Oh, don't start that shit now. But they test the Olympic, athletes. So are they just like, they can't let a guy like Jon Jones just pass?
Well, I think now it's a lot of people are saying that since VADA showed some of the results, that USADA might be having a deal with the UFC where it kind of has favoritism, since UFC might be their biggest kind of product.
Okay, so if you were a fighter, would you fight Jon Jones knowing that he's on roids?
If you're in that division, I think you have to, just because there's nobody else to get you that money as Jon Jones.
I'd fight him, because a lot of those guys are on roids anyways.
Okay.
It's not, if you can't fight somebody because they're on roids and your job is to be a fighter, I don't know. It's questionable.
I think it's having to face that.
Well, and you get the money too, though. Man, Jon Jones is a money fight right now.
But if you look at a guy like Vitor Belfort, when he was on roids, he was huge, and right now he's considerably smaller. Same thing with Alistair Overeem. When he was fighting, he was huge. Now he's gotten a little bit smaller. So I think anytime you have to fight those guys, it's just that disadvantage that they've had months of training to catch up in. But
all right, well, what do you guys think? I mean, is he roiding up? I think he is. They're catching him towards the end of his cycle. But let us know what you guys think. What should the UFC do? Should they just continue letting him fight? And probably this won't even be watched. So.
And then while we're on the UFC, where do you think Conor goes from here?
Whew, UFC. Conor, if I was the UFC, if I was Dana White, I would play it very safe. You can't put him in there against Nate Diaz. You can't put him in there against Khabib again. Very dangerous to put him against Tony or Max. And that's why they're going to probably put him against Cowboy. Let him fight Cowboy, get like a tune-up fight, and then wait on it a little bit. He'd probably fight another tune-up fight. Or after Cowboy, maybe they wait for him for Khabib. But I don't think it'd be a wise idea to put him against Khabib on his second fight. I think he needs to fight at least 2 tune-up fights.
Yeah, I think he'll fight probably Cowboy, and then maybe he fights. If Dustin loses, maybe he fights Dustin, and then they just have that win streak, and then it makes sense to do the Khabib second fight just for the money.
Yeah.
But I think what it does, as Dana was saying, it kind of leaves Tony Ferguson in kind of a awkward position because he doesn't have any fights lined up or any future considerations for the belt or anything along those lines, which is kind of, he deserves it. I mean, he was the interim champion. So
and they stripped him out of that championship real quick when he hurt himself doing something for the UFC.
Yeah, and now he turned down the fight with Max, so we don't know if we turned it down for the money or what, but I think he definitely should be in that conversation because he's performed like one of the best lightweights, if not for Khabib.
Yeah, for sure.
Them too. So I think he should be in the conversation. It'll be interesting to see how Max does as well, and then if Max does win, how he does against Khabib.
To be honest, I just think Khabib's wrestling is just so far advanced that Max would have such a hard time. He's not very big.
Yeah, Khabib. Yeah, Max is on the smaller side.
He's a little skinny. Hawaiian
His striking is very well, but
I don't think he's gonna have the chance. I mean, so is Conor striking. Conor strikes very well as well, but did he have a chance to even throw a lot of punches? No, not so much because he got thrown to the ground every time he tried.
I think against Khabib, the only type of fighter that can win is somebody who has one knockout punch power. Because if you hit him a couple of times, he's still gonna get the takedown, and once he gets the takedown, it's
then
over.
He works his way to your body and.
Yeah, we saw that with Barboza, Conor, all these guys. He can take a couple punches, but if he gets you down, you're gonna get tired, and it's over from there. But it'll be interesting to see what the UFC decides.
What about Nate? Is he not gonna fight any of these guys? I mean, Nate against Conor 3 would be. I think it would sell a lot of tickets. I think Nate beats Conor, but
I think Nate is the UFC's backup plan if Conor loses to Khabib again.
If Conor loses to Khabib again.
Yeah, so if he loses a second fight, I think they're gonna, after that fight, they'll give him Nate to get that money back, and then kind of decide what Conor's future if he does lose that fight again. I mean, against Nate.
Yeah,
and he loses against Khabib twice. It'll be tough to kind of bring.
He's not going to be as big of a draw.
No, so I think after the Khabib, if he loses to Khabib,
he has to beat Nate.
He'll face Nate, but if he beats Khabib, they'll do a Khabib Conor 3 because it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a toss up with that fight first, but I think if he faces Nate, that's going to be another war.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
because he stays on the feet with him, and that's why Fight Watch, a better fight is going to be Nate and Conor, meaning like you'll see
they're just going to trade.
Exactly. With Khabib, I mean, he throws him to the ground, beats him down real good.
Yeah.
And
an interesting one also would be Conor and Max.
That would be a nice one. I would like to see that because they're both really good at striking. Max doesn't get very tired. I mean, I saw his fight with Brian Ortega.
Yeah, he has crazy stamina, accuracy, all that.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be a very good fight. The last time they fought, that was a while ago. So.
Yeah, and I think Max is undefeated since that loss.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's won quite a few there.
Yeah, I think he's won like 13 or 14 in a row at featherweight.